welcome to another episode of Transcontinental Overload. I'm Stephanie, your host, currently a resident of New Jersey in the United States. As you can probably hear, this is not where I'm from. For those of you who are new here, I was born and raised in Germany, then moved to the UK, and 15 years ago relocated to the US. First to California, then to Texas, and more recently to the East Coast. I have witnessed 4 elections in this country. Today's episode is a very different type of episode, and I will probably start posting episodes like this from time to time and possibly on another platform, but I haven't really thought about it that much. And I don't have the brain capacity to deal with it. And I haven't made any decisions yet. And then I thought, you know what, I've got this platform, got this podcast, so why not use it and unleash this on you, my listeners. I am absolutely frazzled, and I mean, it's been a week. It's been a week. And I know I'm not the only one who's still reeling from the events of these last few days. Not just because I'm here in the US. I think this election has affected and is affecting everyone. I've been wanting to, post online and comment on the election and all sorts of things. And but then just sort of felt like I needed to take a break from it all and step away. And I know a lot of people have deleted their social media in the aftermath of the US election. And I understand that totally, but I don't want to do that. I'm trying to stay away from a lot of things, but I think actually can be an essential tool to help us become stronger so that we can deal better with situations like this. Anyway, I guess I'm not the only one who's still reeling from what happened these last few days, and not the only one who feels like we just experienced a major shift in the world's energies. I had to spend a lot of time, as I said, staying away from social media, simply sitting down, reading, knitting, going for walks, trying to ground myself. And I've been incredibly tired, like bone achingly tired. I feel like my whole energy was being sucked out of me, and that there was a force slowing me down. But I knew also, I could feel that I needed to listen to that. I've done a lot of energy work over the last couple of years, and I have become much more aware of my body's reaction to things and events. And so I do feel energy shifts much more strongly, and often even before an actual event. It's hard to explain, but it's something I've noticed in myself. I have been really busy the last few weeks. I've been working on a lot of things. I've done a lot of writing, and I'm working on new content for my podcast. And then last week felt like a major stumbling block. But while I couldn't deny that hammer on the head effect, I just felt like someone had hit me. I couldn't deny that, but I decided to use exactly this moment in time, this beginning of a new time period, and the fact that it exhausted me so much to introduce a few new ideas. When you write, especially when you write a book, which is what I'm currently doing, yay, there's a ton of introspection. You're trying to bundle your thoughts into cohesive sentences, and a lot of you just spend all that time in your head. And while writing, whether it's my own life story or little anecdotes or blog posts, or even sometimes just commenting on what other people have written, I always draw questions and subtopics from what I've written. And so I thought, why not pull some of them out and turn them into mini podcast episodes? Kind of like thinking out loud and sharing those thoughts right there rather than collect them and wait until the book is finished and get the reader's reactions um, afterwards. I guess what I'm trying to do is create connection because that is what we need right now. That's also why this is coming. This is why I'm doing this today, why this is coming as a podcast episode and not a blog post, because somehow by talking directly to you, I feel a more immediate connection than I would with a written piece. And connecting is the opposite of dividing. And Jesus Christ, we don't need any more division in this angry, loud, aggressive, highly divisive world. The first thing to do, though, is to look inside and connect with ourselves. Before we connect with others, we need to connect with ourselves and our true, authentic selves. Observe how we feel, how we process things, and that's what I want to talk about. Not just here now, but in future too, about what it feels like to be human with our imperfections and fears and quirks and limitations and the inability to let go of things, all of that. So it's, as I said, it's a work in progress. So bear with me. I have so many things that I want to talk about and talk about with guests, with other people who want to join me in the conversation. I also really want to explore and talk about what it feels like to experience life from an outsider's point of view. I guess it's a result of me having spent more than half of my life outside my native country. And so I naturally think a lot about being different. But it's also because I'm a highly sensitive person with a neurodivergent brain. And so I've always had that sense of being different. I didn't know I was neurodivergent until more recently, but that's also part of the story. And it's anyway. I don't want to talk about that now. That's another topic, or probably several topics. Weeks like this past one, and honestly, this whole last year, the last 2 years even, have taken a huge toll on all of us. I can't ignore what's going on in the world. I can't control what's going on. I can't even really control how I feel about it. Being this highly sensitive person, I do feel a lot and I struggle a lot with all the injustice and ignorance everywhere. It's just for us highly sensitive people, this is it's honestly it's killing me. But I can look inside myself. I can observe and become aware of how I process those events and what goes on in my head while I do that. And that gives me some control. I can work on that. I can work on my way of reacting to things. And then I feel that by authentically sharing how I work on these things, I can build connection. This might sound like a lot of blah 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 to you, but I'm trying to be as clear and simple here as I can be. So let's start with that right there, with what is inside of each one of us, our identity, and how we show up in the world with our identity, because we all have one. We all have one, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we show it. Are we being our authentic selves, or are we hiding our identity for whatever reason? I want to talk about that. I want to talk about authenticity as someone who's struggled a lot with showing up authentically. And that is partly due to the fact that I am neurodivergent, and showing my true identity hasn't been easy in a neurotypical world, especially in this very judgmental, divisive one. But again, that the whole neurodivergence thing is another topic, or several other topic for several episodes, and it's really difficult for me to stay on topic. That ADHD brain is going into 10,000 directions. So so this isn't easy. Back to authenticity. Authenticity is a quality that we as humans appreciate. And I think it is the vital ingredient for connecting with others. When we feel like someone is being authentic, we feel like we can trust them. We don't like it when we have doubts about someone and when we can't work out their personality, when we feel like someone's saying one thing and then the next minute they turn around and they say something completely different to someone else. We feel a sense of betrayal. We like to recognize people as type A or B or C, but we don't want them to be A and B and C all at the same time in different scenarios with different people, depending on their surroundings. I think it's instinctive, and I think it's just one of those things. We don't trust when we feel someone is being inauthentic. Take the Democrats, for example, in this US election. Could it be that they have an identity problem and resulting from that, an authenticity problem? By trying to appeal to too many voters, they proceeded to water down or even totally abandon a lot of their convictions and ultimately lost their authentic voice. And people didn't like it. The connection was lost. It is beyond ironic that Trump, with all his lies and felonies, ended up appearing more authentic to the voters. But what it shows is this instinctive human need for authenticity. I could say so much more about this election, and I really, really, really want to, but I know I would only start ranting, and I don't want to do that here. And there's so much has been written and said about this election and why the Democrats lost and who's to blame and what have you. And I don't really want to go there. I just want to talk about the importance of authenticity and how we need it to build real connections, which we definitely need to get through these next few years. What do you think? Can you think of a time when your own lack of authenticity has caused damage? When you didn't show your true colors, maybe just to fit in or to please someone? Or maybe you've ruined a relationship because of it, or it's cost you a position at work or a friendship. Or maybe you've experienced it the other way around. Maybe you've had a positive outcome when you suppressed certain character traits and put on a different persona in order to achieve something. I've certainly done that very often, actually. And very often I felt like I had to, because I felt like otherwise I wouldn't be accepted. And I've actually found that whenever I did it, it was only ever a short-term gain, and then I paid for not being authentic later on. It's an endlessly fascinating topic to me, and I can already think of so many subtopics, which I'm not going to start now. I just know that for me personally, the older I get, the less inauthentic I want to be, and the less false connections I want to have. I don't want to hide or tone down parts of myself just to please someone. And those who can't deal with that, well, maybe I don't need them. This podcast will probably reflect this in some ways, or maybe there will be a whole new podcast where I talk about that sort of thing. I want to go further. I want to include other topics of conversation and more diversity, a different tone sometimes, less focus on creating a perfectly polished episode, asking all the right questions. I want to leave more room for bloopers and silliness and inaccuracies. More deep dives, more swearing, more me. Stick around.